I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence, please. Thanks very much. I need a motion to approve the school board meeting minutes of February 4, 2013.
Oh, myself?
Oh, whoops.
Yeah, so it'll come out.
My apologies.
You're talking, not who's going to prove it. It's dying. Pull something.
I'm just admiring the pinstripe in your suits. I didn't notice that until you got close.
Good evening.
Hi, Sue. You're live. We just started.
I'm live.
You're live.
No, she didn't say you were alive. She said you're live.
Yeah.
Suzanne, I apologize. I started the meeting without you. Mea culpa.
So now you say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Myself.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Moving right along, I would entertain a motion to approve the February 4, 2013 school board meeting minutes.
Second it.
Any changes, amendments, alterations, corrections? I wasn't here, but you said I was.
You were here in spirit, I believe, weren't you?
You were here.
You came in.
Well, no. Periodically that occurs. It's the catch-all bucket. Seeing no amendments, all in favor of approving the minutes as presented? Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Abstentions?
I was
Dan
out for
abstains.
most of it. I didn't get here till 7:30.
You had an excused absence.
And the deliberative session minutes of February 2nd, 2013.
I'll move those.
Second? Jenny? Any changes, deletions, corrections, additions?
I'll get her the members of the committee for the PBIS team. It's kind of filled in there.
We can actually do that.
I think she said fill in names, please.
I'll get those for her.
Okay.
Pending insertion of the identities of the members of the middle school PBIS team. All in favor of approving as presented? Abstentions?
That would be me.
Abstention.
So we have
Abstentions.
1, 2, 3, 4 in favor, 4 abstentions. Let's see. Correspondence. Two substitute reports.
It's an invitation to the Scholastic Art Awards, which is this Wednesday at 2 o'clock, and as well as some information from the Artists' Weekend in Sunapee, where our students from the Goffstown High School play. I believe it's Strings with Muriel Orcott, and it was just a little letter thanking us and the school district for those performances.
Terrific. And the reception is in the Arts Lobby at 2 o'clock on the Wednesday the 20th. Commendations and good news.
I have some good news from Maple Avenue. The TIGER is an acronym. TIGER stands for Theater Integrating Guidance, Education, and Responsibility Program, performed Let Your Star Shine at Maple Avenue for the Maple Avenue students last week. The Student Council sponsored this event, and it was a very positive message of tolerance, inclusion, giving, empathy, and respect. And this is Maple Avenue's 4th year having the Tiger people come and perform their program from Plymouth University. And they've just been fabulous. This is the best year yet, and a very heartwarming message. And the kids, I think, got a lot out of it. They use a lot of humor in their program. to get across a very serious message.
I got a few things. I was just talking to Stacy about the environmental club. I was working on a proposal for a grant that's fairly significant from a community member to finish the greenhouse and develop kind of a model sustainable garden in the Techway courtyard. And it's a pretty exciting opportunity. Also some athletic achievements here. We have the results from the wrestling tournament. Peter Shea, Jake Denault, and Connor Bork all placed first. Connor received the Outstanding Wrestler Award. Tucson placed second. And Christian Lanson, the ninth grade, placed sixth. And Matt Gregoire, Damon Rachmana, Ian Lupier, Jake Austin, and Tyler Grace all placed fourth and fifth, and they are all advancing to the Meta Champions. So, doing well. And then the gymnastics team, congratulations to the high school varsity gymnastics team who took home fifth place at their state meet in Salem on Saturday. Sophomore Liberty Gendron got sixth on the balance beam, while freshman Haley Gallagher got third. Haley also took home a fourth place win on the vault and fifth place in the all-around. Congrats to both girls, qualified to compete in New England on March 9th. Liberty will be competing on the beam, while Haley will be competing all four events for the all-around. And then ice hockey is 10-6, and they are playing this Wednesday versus Bedford, and that's senior night. And girls basketball is in 7th place, and they are 11-6. Their last game is versus Convallis.
Perfect, thank you very much. Any other commendations or reviews?
I do. I went to see the dress rehearsal, The Wizard of Oz, last week, and we got that invitation. And if their real performances are anything like what the dress rehearsal was, you will not be disappointed. This is definitely a performance not to be missed, and I really need to commend Doug McKernan, Josh DeRocher, everybody who works on that musical. It's phenomenal stuff, great work. I'm very proud of them. Absolutely.
And even managed to survive through a power outage on Saturday.
Sunday.
Sunday, yeah.
Which, of course they did.
Well, they're going to be doing it again for those people, unfortunately, because they couldn't show the end.
As I was told, the power went out before Dorothy left Kansas.
Yeah. She never got off the ground.
Power waited about 2 more minutes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Any other commendations or good news? Public comment.
Glenn Madden, Dunbar, New Hampshire. I recently sent you a 91A request, and I'm curious as to why the board knowingly disregarded the law regarding the public's right to know and went into non-public on October 1 to discuss the Dunbar School Board's position letter of August 29 regarding expiration versus withdrawal.
Is there any other public comment?
Yeah. On September 17th, you tried to go into non-public. Mr. Allard tried to go into non-public regarding that same letter, and Stacy said it wasn't permissible, and you didn't go in there. So I'm wondering why you did that, and I'd like to have those minutes released.
Your request is before the board. It's entitled to a response. Afraid I'm not in a position to respond right now. Is there any other public comment?
When will you be in a position to respond?
We'll get your response. If you have not had a response already, you will have.
I'd had a response that wasn't satisfactory.
I understand.
You invited the Dumbarton public to ask questions.
I think that public comment is the portion of the meeting that is available to all folks, regardless of the community that they're from. I'm not sure that this is public comment, but it is a question, and the question's now on the table, and we'll get your response.
All right.
I suspect that it could have been a little bit different had we been more prepared for the specific question, but I don't want to argue about that. What I want to do is get you a response, and this is certainly an appropriate forum for you to have asked the question.
You could have anticipated, because I emailed you and the request, and then I followed up with an email to you and your entire board again, asking about the same thing, and I haven't heard back from you. specific
I,
reason?
for whatever it's worth, I believe that, and I'll speak only for myself, and I'm not going to survey the board at this time because this really isn't the place to have this discussion at this time. But I believe that I have responded to your request and furnished.
You responded
and
once, and then I asked you another question, and you failed to respond to that.
I understand that's your
Which is why I'm
position.
here, and if the board's here, when is the best time to respond? Give me a day, a week, what is it?
The next day.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other public comment?
Jared Duncan, Dunbarton. I just have a few questions for Phil and the board about the recent letters in the paper regarding the potential cost to Dunbarton that they may have if they choose to go to Bow. There's great uncertainty, as Mr. Pankos has led our town to believe, and I just wonder a couple things. First,
Just so that I get, you have led us to believe what? Because you stopped at the end. So I'm just,
Okay.
I just want to make sure that,
these letters have raised great uncertainty in the town of Dunbarton. Okay, you've caught people by surprise over this money. And I want to know a few things about it. One is that the position is you, because it's just you on the letter, or is the position of the entire board? That's one question we've received that we'd like an answer to. That would be great.
sure, I can't act independently.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any way we can request the factual analysis that led to that $880,000 number?
You have that.
We do.
Sure.
Okay. I'll follow. your
It was
email.
emailed to Mr. Willett. I got a copy of the email to Mr. Willett. So you do have at least the numerical foundation,
Okay.
if that's the question that you're asking.
Now, does that numerical foundation take into account that there's 3 years in which there'll be a transition period and the students that will still be remaining in Goffstown will be paying a rental charge portion?
To be perfectly honest, I'd have to go back through the mathematics of that question. And again, to the extent that we share information, that is the information that I think both of us could rely on at the time.
And then the final question on that topic is, have you obtained a legal opinion on your position on this issue?
Well, I'm not sure that I could answer that.
Sure, you could say yes or no.
Yes.
And then the final question is, have you received the draft report for the Mountain View Middle School study?
Have I received what?
The draft Mountain View Middle School study report.
I have not.
Stacy?
And would you do me a favor? Can we trade places for a second? Because I would now like to ask a question.
Sure.
You have a
I'll
legal.
answer it, but you can
Okay.
answer
The board has a legal opinion regarding its position with regard to any ongoing obligations. Have you, as a member of the public, received a copy of that legal opinion?
From your attorney?
No. Let me ask that question again, very carefully. Your board has taken the position that it has received a legal opinion
Okay, I understand.
regarding Dunbarton's ongoing obligations.
Yes.
Have
I've
you
seen that letter.
have you asked for that opinion?
I have seen that letter. Absolutely.
You have. Has it been disclosed to the public generally?
Yes.
It has. Thank
Well,
you.
maybe
Thank-
not. Maybe not. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and again,
I don't know.
are you a member of the board?
I was a member of the area review committee in which those discussions came up as well.
Okay.
The discussions.
Okay.
Right. The final question, has the SAU received a copy of the Mountain View Middle School draft?
No, and it's on the agenda.
Yeah. Any other public comment? Mr. Millett?
I'm Randy Willett. I'm from Dunbarton as well. I'm also on the board in Dunbarton. A couple of things. Good to see you, Chief. Hope you're feeling good.
Thank you.
I think both of the other comments alluded to the idea that Dunbarton's voters decide to vote on an area agreement for Bow, and our school district meeting will have some difficult discussions to finish. Ones that we kind of recognize we don't see eye to eye on, we'll have to finish those. There's one part of what will have to be put into place if we end up working with Bow on an area agreement that we've talked about a few times, and in fact, I thought we were moving towards agreeing to develop an agreement, and that is to set up a short-term tuition agreement. A discussion of that came up many weeks ago, and at that time, Philip, you were saying that you didn't see any problem with developing one, and you were ready to move ahead with that. 3 weeks ago, we sent you a draft for a tuition agreement, and received no response from the board. So I went back and I looked at the Goffstown board meeting minutes and found that it had never been discussed by the board.
Philip,
Yes.
stop shuffling your papers.
Oh. I thought I actually heard my name.
She did.
I apologize.
She did.
I think it's me, though. I'm sorry, Suzanne, I think it's
Oh.
me.
Oh, I'm sorry then.
I apologize, Mr. Willett.
I can't hear when the paper is being shuffled around like that.
So, while I understand that when we're going to talk about bond, when we're going to talk about issues like that, there's a lot to be talked about. But with setting up the tuition agreement, we all said that we don't want to hold the kids that may end up wanting to come here, even if the rest of our kids are going to go, hostage. And I don't see how not agreeing to discuss this and try to come up with an agreement now does anything besides that. That it puts parents in a position of having uncertainty and fear as they're trying to vote about which district they're going to go to. I don't understand it. So I guess I've got a couple of questions. One is, when I didn't see any discussion by the board, and knowing that, Philip, the last time you talked to any of us about it, you said you had no intention of developing a tuition agreement, short-term tuition agreement with us until after the votes at school district meeting. I found myself wondering if that wasn't discussed at one of your meetings, is that a position of your board? Or how could it be?
In fact, when I discussed it with Mr. Drexler the other evening, I expressed the commitment of the board and the belief of the board that after March 16th, we will have an area in agreement that includes Dunbarton, Goffstown, and New Boston, and which would render that effort superfluous and unnecessary. And we remain committed to that position and feel no need to move forward with drafting any agreement of any kind that goes any further than the agreement that everybody worked on for literally months, if not years.
I think you dug in the question.
I believe I answered the question in exactly the same way.
The other part of my comment would be, I would respectfully ask the board, the Goffstown board, if you would consider discussing this tonight. If we're going to develop a short-term tuition agreement before all of this is voted on, that would have to be done in the next couple of weeks. The next time we meet is on the 6th. It doesn't leave us much time. So if you have any interest in not keeping our kids hostage, tonight would be the time.
Fine. In response, thank you very much. It was not Goffstown's decision to commoditize your students, and we will not hold them hostage. We have left our doors open. We'll keep those doors open. We have encouraged you to make available the option, should you choose to go to Bow, to include not only high school students but also middle school students as potentially persons who might choose to finish their educational careers here, having entered the middle school through the end of high school. So there are a variety of different issues at play here. But make no mistake about it, nobody's being held hostage here, and Goffstown doesn't choose your students into commodities for the purposes of shopping. Any other public comment?
Phil, I just need to clarify. I misspoke earlier. The letters I saw were between you and Rainey, in which Rainey put forward Dunbarton's position. I was not a part of the letter from their attorney to the board. I did not see that letter. And the other thing we learned was just at the public forums on our attorney's position. So I did not see that letter.
It's not a public document.
Mr.
Jeff
Trexler.
Trexler from Dunbarton. The short-term tuition agreement is something that's very important to our parents and our families. We've made that clear to you folks a number of times in the past. When we were settling the rental charge issue, we came out and asked, can we get this short-term tuition agreement? Because it was one of the things that moved us to come to a resolution of the rental charge issue. It was my understanding at that time that we would be able to work up a short-term tuition agreement prior to the March votes so that everybody knows what would happen, whichever way people voted. What I'm hearing now is something different than that. So what's the message that we should take back to our voters from the Goffstown board? What is that message?
Can I answer that?
Um,
I believe in our agreement that is,
Right.
it's written out. I guess I don't understand what the problem is,
Here-
because
our
in
commitment-
the area agreement, it's written out exactly what will happen. So I don't understand where the discussion of holding hostage and all of this comes from, because if you open up your book and look, it says exactly what will happen.
You're absolutely correct.
Right.
But there are no terms and conditions in that provision in the agreement. So there's nothing in the agreement that determines what the terms and conditions would be for the kids to remain, just that the kids have the right to remain. What we're trying to do is put those terms and conditions onto paper so everybody understands what they are. We've prepared a draft agreement. Philip has it. It's 3 pages long plus some signatures. It copies a lot of the information directly out of the area agreement, so it's a very simple document. It relies upon whatever area agreement is in effect for determining tuition rates and special education costs to Dunbarton. So it's a very simple agreement. But it's being sat on.
In fairness to you, and in fairness to everybody here at the table, I believe that I fairly conveyed exactly what the board has instructed me to do. Should somebody wish to bring it up as an item in new business this evening, they certainly will have that alternative and option. And so we would deal with it then. I can't imagine that we would deal with it tonight before that portion of the business. Hopefully it'll be relatively short. I am not going to add it as an agenda item because I don't feel that we necessarily need to depart, because here are the things that we know. We are happy to have your students here, regardless of whether or not there is an ongoing area agreement after June 30th of 2014. Please correct me if I'm wrong about the date. And that we'll figure out what that looks like when we need to figure it out. But if somebody raises it as something that they want to visit this evening, we can do that. Or if they raise it as something they want to put on our next agenda, and I don't know if, tell me if that won't fit your timeline.
That will not fit the timeline.
Okay.
You folks meet on March 4th.
That's correct.
You meet again on March 18th. Our vote is on March 16th.
Okay.
So unless there's something brought to your board on March 4th and our board on March 6th for signature and approval, nothing's going to happen.
Got it.
And when you say, we'll deal with it when we need to, from the Dunbar perspective, we need to do this now. That's the message we're bringing to your board. We're anxious to hear what the message is that you'd like us to take back to Dunbar.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none. Standing committee, actually, we're gonna move out of order, because I understand you've been up since terrifically early hour on making sure that we had our systems in place and things were operating. So we will do an item of new business right now, network and telephone upgrade.
Yep, so we asked, Gary's been working, we currently use G4 as a provider, and I asked him to come tonight because he can speak far more fluently on this, but it's basically about changing, in my mind, it's about changing all the lines that go from outside to inside. We currently use G4. He's gotten estimates from G4, Comcast, and Fairpoint, and is recommending we go with Fairpoint. So I've asked Gary to come in and kind of explain what this looks like.
Yeah, and this should be an easy decision, because we're going to be getting more for less.
Far less.
Yeah. So just kind of going through what we currently have, we've got a circuit called the PRI, primary rate interface, which is a 24-channel, 23 of them are phone lines. One of them is a signaling line coming into this building where our call manager is located. And between all the other buildings, we have set up any configuration T1 circuits, which are 1.5 megabit circuits, and mostly for phone, but we also do data connectivity between these buildings for servers to swap information. And we have a 10 megabit per second internet circuit here at the high school for our server network. And bottom line is current monthly charges after E-rate, which is we get a 40% discount from our school bills, is $4,722. I went looking forward. That low bandwidth circuit between buildings really isn't adequate, especially when the Smarter Balance test comes online in 2015. So looking to get better bandwidth between buildings for that and other things that we'd like to be able to do. I talked to both Comcast and Fairpoint, which are the two vendors that can actually supply us fiber in town, and got quotes from both and went back and forth. And basically, we can get 20 megabit per second fiber optic connectivity between all of our buildings, and 100 megabit internet circuit for our servers for $700 a month less than what we're paying now. So it's and Fairpoint's been pretty aggressive, and their install charges are much less than Comcast install charges. I put on the backside the quotes that I received if anybody wants to look at that. And the first column is current G4 charges, then it's G4, the second column is G4 with E-rate discounts, and which represents what we actually pay. And next column was Comcast quote, and I didn't even bother doing the Comcast E-rate figure because it was higher than the Fairpoint quote. And the very last column is Fairpoint's with the E-rate discount. So this represents what we'd actually be paying. And not only is Fairpoint's quote less, they're offering us $1,500 in credit off of the install charges for some of the make-ready work that we'd have to do in our buildings. So bottom line, it's more for less.
Are there any, I'm sorry if I missed this at the beginning, are there any hardware things that we need to do, and if so, what is the cost?
Very minimal.
Okay.
Very minimal.
So we can use existing structure?
Yeah, oh yeah. Where, some of the things that we have to do, we have to put an electrical outlet in at Maple. We have to buy some $30 adapters. There might be, one or two UPSs that we want to put in some of these. It's not a lot of money. And I'm pretty comfortable in saying that the $3,000 charge that I put down here at the bottom is probably going to cover everything.
Do we know how long these rates are good for?
5 years.
So Gary is recommending we go with Fairpoint.
And there were other factors too. I mean, it was a pretty easy decision when Comcast's price came in so much higher than the Fairpoint price. But Comcast can't provide the copper backup circuits, and we have copper, backups in all of our building. We've got elevator lines, which are copper POTS lines, plain old telephone service lines. Our fax machines are POTS lines. So Comcast couldn't provide those, number one, so we'd have to go either stay with G4 or go to Fairpoint for that service. And Comcast also couldn't do an actual PRI, which is that circuit that I described in the beginning. They'd come up with something by virtualizing it, and we still run on their fiber. And just the Fairpoint solution was just a much better solution, much more comfortable in my dealings with the engineers. It should be a fairly smooth transition, normally.
How long have they had the fiber up on the pole?
Pardon?
How long have they had the fiber up?
For about a year or so now. This is a new service that both Fairpoint and Comcast is offering.
I'm presuming we're going to get our own pair.
Yeah.
They don't have some equipment that's sharing.
No, this is not shared. Yeah. This is basically Ethernet connections between all the buildings. And the other great thing about this is, if in the future we need more bandwidth, all we have to do is turn the throttle on. It's not like there's no, the equipment's all, gate capable.
So I'm understanding correctly that by going this way, we're saving money against what we're currently paying.
Yeah, it's more for
$3,000
less.
a month.
Yeah.
We're saving $700 a month.
Approximately $700.
Oh, with the E-rate, yep, you're right.
The monthly savings is going to fluctuate a little bit depending on usage, and that's basically an average. Sometimes during the year we may be making more long-distance phone calls out of the buildings than we do other times. So I'm pretty comfortable with those numbers.
Are there any
I'll make a motion. Oh,
Fine,
sorry.
go ahead.
I'll make a
If
motion
there are
to
no
approve
other
this.
questions. See none.
I'll make a motion to approve this, the Fairpoint upgrade with E-rate.
Second.
Second, Jenny.
Any questions? All in favor?
Just as a curiosity,
Yes.
why is this coming before us?
Because it was like a bid. I mean, we went out to bid.
It went out to bid.
Yeah, well, there's only
Because
three
it went to
companies.
Comcast and the other ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it did really officially go out to bid because with E-rate you have to file a 470, and that's like. And other vendors called up and basically they couldn't provide the service.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Or unanimous? Thank you. I understood that, and if the board will allow for it, we finished non-public. I understand. Huh?
Non-public or public comment?
Excuse me, not non-public, public comment. Did I say non-public?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
My day started at the same time as yours. We did finish non-public.
Public comment.
Public comment. Here, you take over. We finished with public comment. I understood that there was a member of our community who had public comment.
Yes.
If the board will allow us to return to that portion of our meeting.
No.
I will take a motion, if there is one on the table, either that or we'll leave our public comment portion closed.
I'll make a motion to reopen public comment.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Opposed.
2 against,
I don't think because someone's a selectman, they get special.
4 in favor.
I abstained.
You abstain? 1 abstention.
Thank you. Scott Gross, 57 Range Road. Just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the area agreement with Dunbarton. I did read your letter over the weekend, and I couldn't agree with you more. I served with you on the school board and the area agreement 10 years ago with some of the gentlemen here, and I have to say that I was extremely disappointed with Dunbarton's position that they would not want to pay the outstanding bond payments that are owed to Goffstown if the area agreement if they were to go with Bo. In good faith, this community bonded this project. I was on the school board at that time. I know it took 3 tries for it to happen. Some of you were on the board at the time. And as you know, the law states that you have to let your sending communities know that you're going to put forth a bond. And it gives them that opportunity whether or not they want to withdraw at that time. So in my opinion, I would probably concur with your legal opinion, although I'm not an attorney, that I believe Dunbarton is going to be obligated to pay for the bond, remaining portion of their responsibility, even if they were to go into the district. That being said...
Can I interrupt you for just one quick second? I have not shared a legal opinion with you.
I understand that.
And you've never read a legal opinion
I
regarding
understand
this
that.
matter.
I have,
I just wanted to make sure that the
yeah, I
record
have
was
heard-
clear on that
I was
point.
watching before, and I'm told that there was a legal opinion, and if that's the case, then I would concur with it. The other thing that I wanted to state was that this notion of Dunbarton stating that, well, the area agreement is simply just not going to be there, and therefore, when it's not there, they don't owe any bond payments. To me, that is very disappointing too. I think when you enter into an agreement, you should pay what you owe. And secondly, for Dunbarton to say, well, we want to entertain a tuition agreement if they do go to Bow. I guess if they were willing to pay for the remaining bond payments and there was an agreement in that respect, then that would make sense. But I would hope that you would not enter into any type of agreement with Dunbarton prior to them voting. Wouldn't make any sense to me. Because they should pay their remaining portion. So I respect the gentlemen that are behind me. I serve with them on the SAU boards. Good people. Maybe we disagree on this one. I really sincerely hope that Dunbarton stays with Goffstown. It's been a great 40-year relationship, and I'm sure it'll be good for another 40 years. And I think that over the years, whether it be New Boston or Dunbarton, having served with you and several others, whether it be accreditation, whether it be renovations to our schools, I think Goffstown has bent over backwards, I think, to make sure that we have a great facility. We've got awesome programs, whether it be co-curricular, academics, honors classes, AP classes. It's a wonderful educational experience here in Goffstown, and I hope that the Dunbarton residents do stay here. However, if they decide not to, that's in their purview, I really hope that they reevaluate their position, and if they do owe money, which I believe that they do, that they should pay. And then consequently, I hope that if they that Goffstown would entertain a reasonable tuition agreement if that were the case. Thank you.
Do you further need a motion to close?
I don't believe I do, but in fairness, because there were other people who came this evening and had the opportunity to offer public comment, I'd be remiss if I didn't at least afford you the opportunity, because it touches on the very same issue, to speak again, should you so see fit. I need more sleep. Mr. Trexler.
I think it's important to remember, as we look at the law and we look at our current area agreement, that the sending districts do not pay on the bond. Sending districts don't pay a share of the bond, any bond. Sending districts pay rent. It's a rental charge. The rental charge is described in the agreement. And Goffstown also receives state building aid because of it being a 3-district area as opposed to a 2-district area that Dunbarton leads. So Dunbarton's not paying on the bond. Dunbarton doesn't owe money on the bond. What the law says is if Dunbarton were a withdrawing sending district, that we would need to continue to pay rent, whatever portion of rent we were paying, until the bond is done, as well as any lost state building aid. So it's very important that you remember, we do not pay on the bonds. We do not pay a share of the bonds. We only pay rent. So when you speak to your public, make sure they're very much aware that that's what the law says and that's how our agreement is. Thank you.
Thanks very much. And the statute also says that we'll hold the buildings in trust for the benefit of the sending districts. It says lots of things, and boy, we could keep this going for the entire night. The important thing, I think, to take away from this is that regardless of what your voters decide, the students who are here will have a place here. They won't be separated from here. We just haven't figured out the details of that yet. Moving right along. Standing committee reports. Human resources.
All right. So we got to meet. We actually got some stuff done. What we've been trying to do this year is to go through old policies that haven't been looked at in at least 10 years. So we're in section E now. So we've been looking at policies that haven't been reviewed since 2000. So while we were reviewing it, we looked at EA, and we moved, you'll see that as a first read, that we are recommending to delete it. The committee believes that's redundant and restates our goals that's already defined in our mission, so that we don't really need that extra piece kind of there. So that's EA, which is support services goals. The other one that we looked at was EBCD, which is emergency closings. And we do have that as a first read for some changes. We're keeping part of what we already have and are adding in some of the language from the model policy and kind of combining that in. So if you look at what you were given, the top part is pretty much what we had and what we were keeping, which is the idea that the superintendent might close it for weather, difficulty driving, and then below it, it kind of breaks it up a little bit of how it was closed and announcements, having delayed openings versus closing full day, that sort of thing. So you can take a look at that. Most of it is taken from the model policy. So that's the other first read that we have. The other thing that we discussed, and I just sent to Stacy about how we would change what we would have in our section of the book, which is, the biggest thing is changing what the committee is called, because we're not really the HR committee for human resources. We're more of a policy review committee. So we would like to change our name to that and kind of reword it to actually represent the fact that we look at policies that are brought from the board, from the community of what we're dealing with, from administration, from model policies from the New England School Board Association, and also kind of what we've been doing of just looking at old policies. Sometimes it's just reviewing them and saying they're good. I mean, they're still good after 10 years, but at least being able to kind of look at them to say someone should look at these, that they're not just stagnant. So we kind of changed the wording of our little section to explain that that's really what we've been doing and what we'd like that committee to continue doing. And that sums up our last one.
So these will come up for,
So these will come up for a second read.
not the next meeting?
Not next meeting, the meeting after that. So yeah, this is just the first read portion, and I'm just excited we were able to get some stuff done.
Planning and Communications.
Has not met since our last meeting. We meet again March 4th.
Ginny, Curriculum and Education.
Yes, at our last meeting, we reviewed the school handbooks from all of our schools, Glen Lake, Bartlett, Maple Avenue, Mountain View, and the high school. Basically, to MVMS and GHS, we added the Power School announcement paragraph. MVMS, there was, and I know we talked about this before, we're waiting information on a athletics waiver that we had talked about before. That will not be included. GHS is looking into the absence and credit for possible dialogue with C&E, and that's the absence policy that we have now that affects grades, and that's being reviewed. Most of the changes included dates, names, and just formatting and addition of graphics. So that's basically where we are with that. Our next meeting will be on the 11th at 7 at the SAU. And as always, I will invite Dunbarton and the Boston School Boards to be in attendance at that.
Is there any motion on the handbooks?
Was there a motion to recommend at the meeting?
Yes, I think there was. Yes. Would you like to recommend?
So there's no substantial changes.
There are no substantial changes.
Technical changes, and updating dates.
Yeah, and the changes that we talked about are on hold as of right now
They
until we
wouldn't
get more
accompany-
information.
Right,
Yes,
they wouldn't accompany there are things that are being looked at.
Right.
So I'm going to let you make the motion.
I'll make the motion to accept the handbooks as they have been presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any questions?
I just want to, can you just go over again, the athletics policy will not be changed in this current?
Not until we get more information about it.
There were two pieces that came up. One was at the middle school, there was a request to be able to waive the policy, and the policy
Right.
says if you fail a class, that at the middle school they wanted to waive it, and that hasn't gone through HR fully. So they wanted to put that in there, and I said, no, it needs to go back to HR for completion. And then the high school was recommending we look at the policy on attendance. And again, I thought that was a substantial change that it probably needed to go to C&E for discussion and conversation before they were approved.
Because it's that whole attendance policy that we have with, they wanted to make some revisions on it.
So the handbooks will be released with technical changes if there are updates that need to be made because of changes.
We'll know about it.
The handbooks won't capture those.
And they're not going to printing right now.
What does that mean?
So, I mean, they don't have to be printed immediately. So there's time to look into those things and bring them back to you if necessary.
But only if there are changes.
Right.
Right. So if HR has time and does that policy beforehand,
Right.
it can
There
still
are
get it.
there are no proposed changes other than the technical changes and the cleanup, the addition of the automated noticing of school announcements.
And a lot of them, just to make
Power
them
announcements.
go together, like some paragraphs have been added just to make them all pretty much say the same thing.
The nursing section.
Right, the nursing section, all those things. So.
I just heard something about automated noticing, because I'm still totally confused of what's happening. I don't have a handbook here. I can't see what we're talking about. How can I vote on that? If there's a new section or a different section, I can see if you're saying do we have to do this every year to just say, hey, we can do out the handbook, there are a couple of technical corrections. Not a problem, because it is what it is, but if we're making changes, shouldn't I have something in my
The
hand?
Power School is just an explanation of what Power School does.
Yeah.
It adds our money part of it, the credit card part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just adding what has not been in there before,
Sure.
but what is our practice. Nothing is
Okay.
new about anything that's in it.
So Ginny, can this wait till the March 4th
It can.
meeting, because we can get those copies
Can
out
we
to
get it
people?
out?
We can
I'd
wait.
love to read it.
Okay.
Being new, you guys have probably already seen it once.
Once or twice.
Yeah, or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6.
A dozen or so, you know.
Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't have to be a recommendation tonight.
Did you second?
I did
No.
not. I seconded.
You second. You want to withdraw your second?
Sure. Remove it.
Okay. And we'll put it on the agenda for the next time if we can get the,
We'll get copies out.
it makes for scintillating reading there. And my guess is you could probably get the ones where the font for the changes is in color. So it'll be a little bit easier to scroll through.
Oh, cool.
And pick out.
That would be helpful.
Yeah.
Because they're
Thank you.
Budget committee report.
We have not had a meeting since our last meeting. We meet tomorrow briefly before the candidate information night.
And what time does that start?
6:30, if I understand correctly.
And it is here?
It is, but I don't know what location.
Right here in the
Yeah, here in the
It's
media
in the
center.
library. Okay.
So for anybody who's watching who didn't hear it, 6:30 tomorrow night here in the Media Center at Goffstown High School is candidate night.
No,
No,
the
no.
budget committee.
Budget committee.
Yeah,
You
budget
said it was
committee.
before candidate night?
Right, candidate night will be at 7. But I was talking
Okay.
about the budget committee meeting. I thought you were asking me about that.
I'm sorry, I asked a different question. So candidate night is tomorrow night,
At 7 o'clock.
here at the high school at 7 o'clock.
Yes, the budget committee will be meeting somewhere in JHS. Keith seems to believe it's here in the library
Maybe
prior
not.
to candidate night.
Keith and I were on the
So,
same page,
yeah,
sorry.
see, no, I was
My
giving a budget
apologies.
committee report.
Got it. Elementary Facility Committee report.
You want to take it, Keith, or shall I?
You can go ahead.
Okay. It's my understanding that posters are, not posters, but, yes.
Informational bulletin. What
No,
are you
the
gonna call-
signs out are.
Oh,
going
the
to be-
road signs.
The road signs are going to be distributed on Saturday.
Yep, they'll be available tomorrow night.
Yep.
Yeah, they're
We have a
available tomorrow
meeting
night, and
tomorrow
we're
night.
going out on Saturday for them.
Yep. We'll do this together. You fill in my blanks.
Okay.
So we've got a meeting tomorrow night here at 5:30 in the conference room. We have postcards that are being prepared. We've got labels that are being prepared. We've received donations for postage. The parent groups have volunteered at the elementary schools. Actually, let me rephrase that. The PFT has volunteered to sticker and postage with the donated postage, the postcards that we've got prepared. We have visited with both the PFT parent group and the Bartlett PTA parent group and made presentations that I thought went okay. I thought they went all right. GTV actually recorded the Maple Avenue presentation. We really need to get the word out. It's, as we've repeated in public, it's very important to have the support, have the grassroots support. This is the year to get this done. I would like to ask my fellow board members to, with the upcoming vote, really put yourself out there and write a letter to the editor in support of whichever articles you are in most favor of. I know I've written a letter already. I have another one ready to go. But I think it makes more sense to show support from many board members. So I would ask you to consider writing a letter to the editor. Time is short. That's my personal request to you.
I would actually like to go a step further. We have informational bulletins that are strictly informational. It doesn't ask you to vote or anything, but just describes the project. And we're putting them up in businesses. If anybody here says, hey, make sure I have a contact at this business, make sure for it to go up, let me know. I can even give them to you. There's some left in the trunk of my car. If you have any businesses that you go to regularly in the town and in Pinardville, if you could help out in getting them up. And secondly, if any of you want a sign on your property, let us know. You could just pop an email to me, and we'll get you on the list for signs going out next Saturday.
I'd be tickled to death to have one. I'm not sure that I'm in the best possible location. So
Yeah, I mean-
I'll be at the end of the list.
Yeah, if you're in a low visibility area, it'll be on how many signs we have left at that point.
Right, and that's fine. I understand that. Go knock on Billy's door and ask him to put one on his property where lots of traffic goes by. Anything else from elementary facilities? A&F committee meeting report?
We met tonight at 6:45. We talked about the manifest, which we'll be bringing to you in part 3 when we get there. And that's about it.
Superintendent's report.
It was a little windy yesterday, so we did lose power here at the middle school, here at the high school and at the middle school. As of about 9 o'clock last night, the high school had power, the middle school didn't, so it was a really long night of me strategically thinking, could we do a delayed opening just at the middle school? Could we? I had every scenario going on in my mind, but woke up this morning and we had power, so that was good. Just a reminder, The Wizard of Oz is playing again next weekend, Friday night at 7:30, Saturday at 2, and at 7:30, so there's a matinee. Sunday is a replacement for this Sunday. I don't know if they have additional tickets available or not, but there will be a matinee on Sunday to cover this week's. Next week is school vacation week, so don't forget. The SAU office will be closed on Monday. We are having some server work done, and so they need to shut our phone systems and all our technology down. So the SAU employees, we get a floating holiday for today. So we're all going to take that on Monday so that all that work can get done without us being in the office and interrupting them or having to have nothing to do. So we all agreed to take Monday off as a holiday. I will be gone that week, but Brian will be around. So if you need anything, Brian is available. You saw the Scholastic Art Awards reception Wednesday at 2 o'clock. It's really a nice opportunity to meet the students. They set up a lot of the artwork in the art foray down the hall. It's a great opportunity to see what the students do and to talk to them about what they do, and it's just a nice afternoon.
And it will be a way for you to see some of the list, some of the work of the list of, I don't know, what there had to have been 20-something students who received awards at the state level.
Yep.
And my guess is you'll be able to go see some of their works there.
This week is Winter Carnival Week here at the high school, so there's all kinds of activities. On Friday at 12:45 is the whole school assembly. If you haven't had an opportunity to see, 1,100 students in the gym, all with great school spirit, participating, doing a wonderful job, I would invite any of you to come and visit at 12:45 for a good afternoon of fun. Just a reminder, March 4th, you have a board meeting, so it will seem like it's just right after, it's the Monday after vacation week, so just mark that on your calendar. Just a reminder, and this is probably more for public, but June 26th is currently the last day of school at this moment in time. It is a Wednesday. It is far out in the calendar, so just people should mark that down. If we have any more snow days, it adds on to that, but just know June 26th right now is the last day of school. You did get, I sent out my superintendent's notes last week, School Boards Association scholarship application. If you have a child going off to college or a grandchild going off to college, great opportunity for a scholarship. And just a reminder, and I want to thank HR, or Oregon Policy Committee, for getting me the first one to get me your updated, revised sheet. So again, just if you can get me those, that's just the revision of what your committee does, so that we can update that for board members. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Manifest and vouchers.
I'd like to move a manifest of $1,555,610.65.
I'll second.
What's in the
Speak to it.
manifest?
Yep. Please.
Manifest has approximately $1,160,000 for payroll taxes and benefits. We have a payment to Crotchet Mountain of $44,100 for January services, 2 students. We have it to Maria Jordan for $16,405. She's a teacher of the deaf, and this is for services from mid-December through mid-February. Merrimack Sped Collaborative, $6,200. That's tuition for 1 month. Parker Education, $5,500. The January monthly tuition for 1 student. The Provider, which is Sped Transportation, that's $42,000. That's the Sped activity. We bought some oil from Fred Fuller. That was $30,000. That's Maple Ave, Goffstown High School, and Mountain View. We paid the Goffstown Truck Center for February athletic transportation of $9,553. And what's not on the list, but I believe, and you can help me out, Ray, was I saw the bond payment of $95,350. That's in here. And I saw a payment to Apple, I believe, $39,660. Those are the big ones that are $5,000 and over. Guess Jill.
Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion as presented?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We're unanimous. There is one thing I want to bring to your attention. It is not on your agenda. And if I drive off the railroad tracks here,
We'll get you
get me
back
squared
on.
away. Yeah. We have a letter of February 12th from the Manchester School District regarding the Manchester School of Technology and their ongoing planning process. And previously, we have been asked to participate in their ongoing planning process. It is a dialogue about ideas, feedback, and improvements on their model. They are going to continue that process, and they're looking for thoughts on how first-year students can be integrated into their CTE program offerings. And so we're looking for interest in having a participant at their meetings. The first meeting is, or the next meeting is scheduled for March 7th at MST at 11:45. They don't say AM or PM, but I'm assuming.
It's AM.
It's AM.
And just so Kim McCann has been our rep, and I've gone to several of them. when it's on timely topics, but Kim has been going for us. But as part of this is a school board rep has been part of that committee. They have not facilitated a lot of school board reps to go, so I think they're reaching out to ask if a school board member wants to attend.
Suzanne, will you be back in time? To be perfectly honest, I couldn't tell whether that was a yes or a no.
You'll never know.
Well, enjoy the weather nonetheless. I don't even know if anybody's calendar will allow them to do so.
It's a Thursday, my bad.
What day is it?
Thursday, the 7th.
And we will not be
No.
reconstituted by then. So there is nobody not here today who will be available then. So
Where's it being held?
It's in Manchester at the School of Technology.
If I can make it, I can pause. I'm a little hesitant because I have other appointments that day.
So let me do this. Do we have a copy someplace?
I have.
Okay. Karen White's contact information is the contact person. If you can make it, you should shoot her an email in advance. All right. Old business?
I totally forgot on my superintendent, if I could just add to is tomorrow, since I see Dunbarton here. Tomorrow is the open house here at Goffstown High School at 7 o'clock for Dunbarton community members. So if anybody is interested in coming, high school has a well-planned out evening.
And I'll add to that. And Mr. Trexler or Mr. Willett, if I forget anything, I want to at least take the time to thank the administrators and the teachers who were at MVMS the other night. My God, we had about 20 families, maybe, give or take, who visited from Dunbarton, had the opportunity to hear what teachers had to say about the programming they were doing, to listen to what's going on in terms of curriculum and at the school, and then to have any questions that they might have answered. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us that evening and for bringing lots of members of your community with us. And we're glad it wasn't as foggy for you so that you could see the roads to get here. But a special thanks to the people who took time away from their families and other obligations to be there and to participate. It was really, I got to see some things in sort of the second half of the night, which I haven't seen, and there's some terrific voices over there. There's a great deal of enthusiasm and engagement, and again, a hearty thanks to the folks who took time out of their evening to do it. And to anybody who's watching, even if the open house isn't necessarily set up for you, come on out. It's a great way to learn more things about your schools.
Update on the West Ed study. So I spoke to Kevin Perks, who is leading the study, on Friday. He was working on it. He was going to spend the weekend and was hoping to have it done today. He has not finished it. He says he's reaching at page 100. So he gathered a ton of data, and it was more than he anticipated putting it all together. But he believes it will really give us some good data and information. So he was hopefully finishing it today. I did not talk to him this afternoon, but his goal was to finish it today, get it to his supervisors, who will proof it in, make sure it's consistent with our expectations as well as West Ed's expectations, and that the data is all valid and reliable, and that it is answering what we have asked them to do. So he has told me I will have it in my hands sometime between Wednesday afternoon and first thing Friday morning. So I will put that on the agenda for your Monday meeting, and you should get hard copies of that report. So on Monday, so I anticipate likely posting it on Tuesday for public. So that was kind of my plan, and then we'll look at kind of rollout of what we do with this information. I haven't seen it, so I don't know what it looks like in the sense of starting the process of how do we start looking at those recommendations. But once we see that, I'll have a better feel for how to start thinking about those recommendations and what we need to do to pull together committees and teams and really assessing that piece. So
You're
I have a
thinking the
clarification.
Monday, March 4th meeting?
That's what I was. But
Yeah,
when
what
do
did
you
I
expect
say?
to have it available?
Monday, March 4th.
Okay. So you expect to get it the week before?
I expect to get it sometime between Wednesday afternoon and Friday of this week, but I'd like to review it
Yeah.
and then give it to you guys on Monday night at that meeting.
Okay.
I'll be on vacation that next week, so I just am not here. So that's the plan. I'd like the board to get it publicly at the meeting, as opposed to individual members getting it and then it being public that way. I think a good way to do it would be the board members getting it Monday night and it being public on Tuesday.
Good.
That the board gets the opportunity to see it first, because it was commissioned by you.
There's, from what I heard from public comment tonight, I have to ask the question: will there be an opportunity for someone to ask for a right to know before we get to see it, since it'll be in your hands prior to?
As long as she doesn't make it public.
The report, no,
Yeah.
it's you guys, until you folks see it publicly, until you
It's
get
a-
it at your board meeting, it is not a public document. Once you see it on Monday, it becomes
So
a
it's
public
not
document.
discoverable.
And I will be on we'll get, because I'm sure
Okay.
once you guys see it, everybody will ask for it. So we're going to try to get it up on Tuesday onto the website.
Okay.
So once we've got it, then both Dunbarton and New Boston.
Everybody can have it. Yep, absolutely.
Good. New business, Elementary Facility Committee Contract Administrator Services Recommendation.
So that's coming before the board, and anybody from that committee can step in, but basically it's part of the CMK's, Fred Matuszewski's recommendation, and the committee reviewed the information, and I think recommended it to bring it before the board for the, I'm losing the word I'm looking for, the
Contract
administration piece of the puzzle, should the bond pass. This would also bring, Ray, do they have copies of this?
We have copies here.
Okay.
Yeah.
CMK's also agreed to follow this same price and cost through the 2014 vote, should this vote not pass. I don't know if anybody on the committee wants to talk further about it. But basically, it's a 7.75% fee based on the Harvey Construction's draft GMP of $12,110,000. They would credit the $346,000 and change that we had already paid them for the architectural and engineering studies.
And the committee did vote to recommend this to the full board.
So what does this mean exactly? So CMK, they're requesting additional fees when?
No.
Typically, the job is bid as a whole, and on a project such as this, the typical architect and engineering fee is in the area of 8 to 8.75%.
I remember seeing the
Yeah.
original.
So CMK, at the time that we started this project, we were operating with an extremely limited budget, and we basically had impact fees from the town only, and those amounted to about $340,000. So what CMK agreed to do at that point was to take on the architectural and engineering specification development and design activity, and to deliver to the school district a set of buildable drawings, which they did.
Right.
This is the second half of the project now, which is the construction administration piece, where CMK, in essence, is going to serve as a rep for the school district, monitoring the construction activity, making sure that materials and techniques that are spec'd are indeed being implemented on the build project. For that, that's the additional money that would be coming in for the $592,000 that was identified earlier. The $592,000 is again net the $340,000 already paid to CMK. And they are coming in with about 0.25% less than what we would see normally. The conditions that the Elementary Facilities Committee put on CMK to accept this bid was, number one, that CMK agree to continue to support the school district for another year should the bond vote fail. They have agreed to do that. And CMK has also agreed to do the contract administration services in the year 2014 if we need to, for the same price that's on the table today, $592,225. I believe that this satisfied all of the conditions that the Elementary Facilities Committee had put on CMK and has caused their recommendation to you folks to accept the deal.
And that amount is included in the bond price, in
Right.
that package price.
Any other questions? I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We're unanimous. Thank you very much. We've already done first read policies. All set? Moving along then to nominations.
So I'm bringing forward three co-curricular sport nominations. Adam Lawrence as our varsity baseball coach, Matt Chadbourne as our boys volleyball coach as a volunteer, and Bob Ward as our girls spring track coach.
That's his first time doing it, Bob Ward, huh?
Actually, he did it
No,
many
Bob
years
Ward
ago.
did it
Yeah.
years ago.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
My track coach.
many years ago.
Okay. I didn't have him for track coach, so I didn't recall.
Not new at all.
Okay.
He was here when.
I know he's been here a while.
So I need a motion to approve those three.
So moved.
And
I'll second.
Diane seconds. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We're unanimous.
And then just for notification, we have actually four kind of student observers as opposed to student teachers. They have to do just clock hours before they do their student teaching. We have Carrie Cuttle, who's going to be working with Kristen Baldiga, who's an occupational therapist. Amy Goodrow, who will be working with Peggy Zola at Maple Ave. And Kayla Hillhouse, who will be working with the special ed department at Maple Ave. We'll also have a nurse kind of practitioner coming in, Tanya Drake, who will be working with Shelley Kaiser.
No, the student observers, can I ask a question? Do the teachers actually let them get involved in the classroom at all? Or?
They support the classroom, but they're not. It's not like student teaching where they do lessons and lesson planning. It's the first phase of kind of before you do student teaching.
Okay, thank you. And when are they starting the observers?
This spring. I think most of them are like the nurses, like 10 hours. They're all, between 10 and 20 hours. They're not a lot of hours.
Any other business that may legally come before the board?
Fantastic.
Yes.
Can you do your public comment one more time, this other business?
We have not done that as a matter of practice. If there's a motion from the floor, I'd be more than happy to accommodate that request.
That's fine.
For a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I'm abstaining.
Floor is yours.
And I'm still Randy Willett from Dunbar.
We're glad to hear that.
Just wanted to mention a couple of thoughts that came up in the earlier parts of the discussion. We clearly do have agreement that allows right now in the area agreement that our students will be able to continue to come to the high school should the current area agreement end for whatever reason. We have stipulation in the area agreement that we've negotiated that if ratified will carry us through 2024 if ratified. So that really wasn't our question. The concern is that without having a clear understanding of how we'll compute tuition, the tuition rate could be set by your board that would make it impossible for students. Now, I don't know that that's likely, but I do know that there are a number of parents from Dunbarton who've approached me with that idea, that that's a concern of theirs. And so in a way, they feel that they can't make their own choice about which way to go on Bow or Goffstown, because they feel like they'll be hamstrung when their older kid wants to continue to go to Goffstown High School. So that's why we brought it here to you tonight. I'm disappointed that you chose not to take it up. I will ask again that you consider it on March 4th. That would still give us not much time, but enough time to try to work something out. And just one last observation. I appreciate Scott's running down here to get a word in. And I remember he's a tough negotiator. I remember that from 10 years ago. And I have a lot of respect for him. But I also think that his comments were right to the heart of what we're trying to portray to you. He said, please don't set the tuition agreement until you've got something worked out about the bond. To me, that sounds like you're holding it hostage. But thank you for hearing me again.
May I just make
Well,
one point?
in fairness, I had no idea what Mr. Gross was going to say. He's not a member of this governing body any longer, although he was at the time the area agreement was negotiated. And his opinions and feelings are his opinions and feelings, and I think he was imploring the board to follow his lead as opposed to necessarily embracing a position that has ever been taken for many reasons. And I think, Mr. Willett, they were implicit in some of the things that you said just now. It would make very little sense for Goffstown in the event that Dunbarton elects to tuition its students to Bow to do anything that would push revenue that has value to this community and its taxpayers, or students which have more value than the revenue does, away. And I guess I would offer that to you as comfort for your concerns. And I would ask that you offer to our taxpayers the same sense of certainty that you're requesting about the ongoing rental charge, which, while you're correct, Mr. Trexler, doesn't specifically speak to bonding. If you look at the statutory framework, make no mistake that we would absolutely agree that if you examine that with any care at all, that those two things are unequivocally linked together. If you choose to speak to that, by all means, I don't necessarily require that you do.
May I just?
Jane.
Ray, have you made it clear to the parents that are concerned that it's not their responsibility to pay that tuition, but that it would be Dunbarton's responsibility as a town to pay the tuition? You're saying that they're concerned, and I'm wondering if they, if you've made it clear to them that they don't personally have to pay it.
Well, I get it.
Yes, I will.
It's hard to put an answer there. And one is, if it comes in, if tuition rate comes in, the way we've been computing tuition rates up till now, then absolutely we pay for it. If the tuition rate comes back and it's $20,000 per student, which in the lack of having a tuition agreement, a short-term tuition agreement, it could, then I don't know that the board on Dunbar could guarantee to its citizens that we would be able to pay that.
And Rainey, do you think that since we've been working together for 40 years, that all of a sudden we're going to charge you an astronomical rate? I mean, have we given you that impression all along that we've been working together, that all of a sudden we're just going to be hateful?
Jenny, you have not. And many others of before have not.
Well, do you think this board as a whole, that's how we've treated Dunbarton ongoing?
I know that if we were led to believe that a short-term tuition agreement was something that we could work out imminently, we were led to believe that many weeks ago. We gave a draft, and it's not going anywhere. So it's hard to read that part. I remember how things went, especially towards the end of developing a new area agreement plan and working with you. I've got no question about that.
That comment was kind of misled.
Ray, I guess I missed something in your explanation of how you feel we're holding the students hostage. Can you just share with me why you're feeling that way again?
If you don't know what the tuition rate will be, or how it will be computed for that period of time where, again, now we're going to set up all our hypotheses. If all this stuff goes in exactly the other way, and Dunbarton ends up working with Bo in an area agreement, there'll be a period of 3 years where it'll be possible for Dunbarton students to continue to come and finish their high school education at Goffstown High School. There's nothing in the current area agreement. I'll back up one step. The current area agreement makes it clear that we've all agreed that that can happen.
Right.
But there's nothing in the current area agreement that lays out how the tuition will be computed. Now, we addressed that when we set up the new area agreement proposal. We addressed that issue. But we don't have anything like that currently. That's why we thought it would make sense to set up a short-term tuition agreement just in case that happened. The proposal that we are making is that basically, if we're headed to Bo, and there's a new area agreement in Goffstown, we'll honor that. However, the tuition is computed for the sending schools, we'll honor that. And if there's no area agreement in Goffstown at the time, we'll honor the way it's computed in the current area agreement. That's pretty much the bulk of the proposal.
Okay. Myself personally, I probably would need till March 4th to think that through now at this point.
Well, we do have a little sliver of time left. Appreciate your...
My kind of feeling is I'm not sure this board can necessarily come up with an exact formula, but maybe could set a max of what the tuition could ever be.
Interestingly, and I don't do this necessarily to end this conversation, but we've sort of digressed from public comment into discussion.
Yeah.
And so, to the extent that that's something that that the board needs to do, it can become an agenda item for the next meeting. We'll make sure that you get a copy of the agenda, so at least if that is something that is on the agenda, you'll have the opportunity to listen, and to the extent that public comment requires, or simply that you want to speak, we'll make sure you have that opportunity.
I appreciate you giving me a chance now, too. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want it to devolve into something that really looks like business.
I was just trying to understand.
No, I understand.
I'm just going to, Jeff Trexler again, just want to bring up the issue of timing. In order to enter into an agreement, each board would need to vote to approve the agreement and authorize the board chair to sign it. I'm not sure you're going to be ready to do that on March 4th, perhaps.
Notwithstanding what you may have observed tonight or any other night, we can act with due speed.
The problem is, if the Goffstown representatives and Dunbarton representatives haven't sat down to even discuss the draft that's out there, what are you going to vote on March 4th? And if you don't vote March 4th, would you be holding an interim meeting before March 18th? So timing is a concern.
And is it, Scott?
Yeah.
Is it public comment?
Yes.
Fair enough.
In review of the, Scott first again, in review of the area RSAs, there's mention of a withdrawal of a sending community. There would be a withdrawal plan. And again, I get confused because I keep on hearing withdrawal and expiration. But if it indeed is a withdrawal, it talks about a report, and that report is supposed to be done. And I'm curious, and that withdrawal report should state the economic impacts to all of the communities. Does Goffstown have such a report provided to them?
Again, I would be happy to discuss in answer to your question, and this isn't
yes
public
or no,
comment.
if it is, I get a copy of it.
It's a no.
Okay.
I'd be happy to explain the why it's a no, but no, there is no withdrawal report.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I have nothing scheduled for non-public, and therefore we have nothing to talk about in non-public. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will. Surprise, surprise.
Can you get a second?
Jen's counting
Jen's-
meetings
Jen's second.
down. She's at a 1.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Yeah, I'm abstaining because I was still thinking of wanting to make a motion, but I'm too late, so.
Okay. Thank you, Suzanne. Is it 40 there yet?